Hello and welcome to another episode of The Flying Reporter. Excuse the hair, it's been a bit wet and windy up here at Perth today. Perth in Scotland is where I am because I'm going to get a lesson in the twin engine DA42. The Flying Reporter YouTube channel is supported by Aero Anglia, a light aircraft maintenance organisation at Elmset in Suffolk. But this episode is additionally brought to you in association with ACS Flight Training, a commercial flight training company at Perth in Scotland. I've been invited there to get a taster of multi-engine flying in the DA42 Diamond Star. Head of training is Philip Morritt.
So Philip, what is the plan for today?
So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the simulator first of all and give you some familiarisation with the speeds and how the G1000 operates, the levers, etc. Just to make it a little bit easier when you get into the aeroplane, so you're not having to think about that, you're concentrating on what's going on outside. Once we've done that, we'll have a little break and we'll talk about briefing the flight. The flight today will consist of the two of us taking off into the local area, you becoming familiar with the aeroplane, and having a look at some of the differences involved with flying a light twin engine aeroplane.
And what are the key differences that I'm going to notice?
Well, the twin has a wider wingspan, but most of the other differences you're familiar with from flying your Arrow that you came up in yesterday on the flight. And after that, we'll look at basically the single engine operation, and those are the key differences there.
Just talk in brief for me. I know we're going to do this in the air, but talking about control and performance, which were the two main points, I think. And two things have an effect in a single engine operation in a multi-engine aircraft: the speed and the power we have on.
Yes. So for a given speed, we're going to need a certain amount of rudder deflection to keep the airplane directionally under control with one engine operating. If we reduce that speed, we're going to need to increase the rudder deflection. But of course, we have a limit to that deflection. So we'll see that when we change the speed, we'll have to increase or decrease the rudder deflection as appropriate, just as you would normally do in a single engine aeroplane. With the power, if we increase the power, we'll increase the asymmetry. So we're again going to have to increase the rudder deflection. And again, we'll reach a natural limit when that occurs. And at that point, we'll have to stop and recover the situation.
Speaking to multi-engine piston pilots, I know there are a few other V-speeds that we have to think about when we're flying multi-engine. What are they and what do they mean?
Well, we've got VYSC, which is the best rate of climb single engine, okay, and we've got minimum control speed, or VMCA, and that's the speed below which we don't really want to go because, of course, we will lose directional control of the airplane. That speed varies a little bit, but that's marked on the airspeed indicated by a red line.
And the best rate of climb single engine is the blue line, isn't it?
That's correct, yes.
And what is the climb rate like shortly after takeoff with a single engine? Let's say we lose an engine on takeoff. Okay,
so two engine we'd typically get about 1,000 feet per minute, maybe more. In a single engine airplane, single engine operation, we'd typically get maybe 200-300 feet per minute, but that can easily be consumed by turbulence or other factors. So it's a significant difference.
So in a sort of lower performance multi-engine aircraft like this, which is perfect for training, a single engine out on takeoff is quite a dire situation, and you're probably looking at a forced landing. Would you say in many circumstances?
Quite possibly, and that's one of the things that we would brief on before we get airborne. Thinking about the environment around the airport, thinking about the environmental conditions, the wind, etc., and trying to decide what we might do if we were presented with that situation.
There's something called critical engine, and that depends on which way the propellers turn. And talk to me about critical engine. What is it, and how do we need to think about it?
Well, critical engine is basically the engine, if failed, will give us the most negative effect in terms of asymmetry, i.e. we'll have more of it, and therefore we'll need more rudder deflection. So in the case of the Twin Star, the critical engine is the left engine. Okay, so that means that VMCA, which is the minimum control speed, is calibrated for that particular speed.
There's quite a lot to think about here. I know I'm not going to be doing the full course, and literally this is just a taster. If somebody isn't perhaps going into commercial training and wanting to get their MEIR and so on and so forth, why would they consider a twin?
Well, the twin obviously offers some redundancy in terms of systems. If you have an engine failure in the cruise, of course, you have another engine available to you. And of course, often they are more sophisticated, say, from your typical singles. There is a discussion or debate, I guess, to be had about whether a two-engine aeroplane or a single-engine aeroplane, which is very capable, would be the better option. But effectively, you've got that redundancy of both engine and systems, for example, alternators, etc.
And how long is the course?
The course itself is 6 hours of flying training and 7 hours of ground briefing, and also includes a ground exam at the end and also a skills test. But those are the minimum hours, and it would be prudent to think about adding a little bit more, or maybe doing a little bit of sim work, which is what we're going to do today, just to prepare yourself for the aeroplane. But indeed, the sort of flying experience that you have on the Turbo Arrow, with a variable pitch propeller, a turbocharger and retractable undercarriage, will stand you in good stead for this particular course.
I've dabbled a bit with a glass cockpit like this, but not enough for me to be anywhere near proficient, and so being able to get familiar with the DA42 systems on the ground in the relaxed atmosphere of the simulator is very helpful. Right, here we are in your, what is it, FN something?
FNPT2.
FNPT2, not a simulator, it's a...
Flight Navigation and Procedures Trainer.
Okay, it's a simulator.
Yes.
So this will help me understand the cockpit layout and the procedures we need to learn to get started. And first, I suppose I need to get myself seated and positioned correctly.
Yes, so like the aeroplane, you can see that the rudder pedals are adjustable. There's a T-bar between your shoes. So if you just pull that towards you, and then you can move the rudder pedals towards you or push away with your feet.
Oh, I see.
After that, really, we can move to the checklist if you like.
Good, yeah, why not?
Okay, so there you go. The first part's the normal procedures. So if you'd like to just flip over the page there, and we can just start from the top.
Okay.
And it works in pretty much a flow around the cockpit.
For those of you really into detail, I've uploaded the unedited video of the startup process to my Supporters Club pages on my website, Patreon, and my YouTube membership page. To join the Supporters Club, you'll pay just a small monthly subscription, and you'll get access to a whole back catalogue of bonus footage and behind-the-scenes content. By signing up, you really help me keep this channel growing. Now, over in the real aeroplane, the process we followed earlier in the simulator is identical, except for the fact that this time I know where most of the buttons and switches are.
Clear prop!
So parking brake is here. I've got my feet on the brakes here, so parking brake released.
Give them a quick call, let them know what we're going to do.
Roger.
First radio, Golf Zulu Alpha Zulu Uniform, 2 on board, 1 hour local flight, 2.5 hours endurance, taxiing to Bravo.
Golf Zulu Uniform, Roger.
Okay, wingtips are clear.
Are we going to go up there, are we?
Yep, we're going up there past the air ambulance helicopter.
Okay.
Golf Zulu, flight base for 27 right.
Got a full rudder in there, but there we go.
Golf Zulu, South Radio.
So it was asymmetric first and then...
Rudder, asymmetric power, and
Yeah.
then differential brake, but
Yeah.
generally speaking you won't need any
We're
differential
alright
brake.
there for...
Yeah, you've got clearance, yeah.
Sorry, it's taken a bit of getting used to. Don't want to ding it.
If we stop just before the intersection, and
Roger.
that's where we'll do our checks.
Roger. Parking brakes set, seatbelts fastened, rear door closed and latched. Front door is latched. Baggage doors closed. Yep. Door warning light is off. That would be here, would it? Engine instruments checked, so got green, 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 green. Fuel temperature checked, that's green. Circuit breakers are all in. Elevator trim is at takeoff. Fuel selectors checked on, correct. Rudder trim as required. Flaps checked up. Flight controls. We're at idle. ECU swap, ECU B engines checked. So we go to B on both at the same time. And then back to auto. ECU test initiate. What's that? ECU, oh this. And I hold it in, yeah?
Yep, and we're just following the captions.
And that's it. Do you want to brief the departure or?
Okay, just as we did
Yeah.
on the ground earlier on, so we've got 27 circuit in operation, so we'll need to give way to traffic before we can take off. But as you say, we'll climb out straight ahead to 500 feet or 900 feet Q&A. Turn right and head out to the west. If we climb, let's go to 3,000 feet, should be quite nice up there, I would have thought.
We've already briefed the emergency and the handover. Okay.
Okay, so we can proceed to holding point Bravo, and we'll have a look at what the traffic situation is.
So I'd use the right engine, don't I, to go round left, is that right?
Correct, yeah. Outside engine.
Yeah.
Okay, we can proceed forward. There's no traffic around. We've just got one joining over the top there. So we've got a traffic in the overhead, probably about 3,000 feet, and we've got this one aeroplane in the circuit about to go around again. Other than that, there's nothing to affect us, I believe. When you're ready, you can turn the landing light on and pop on the well. Soon uniforms taking off from a 2-1. A little bit of a little squeeze of right rudder just to keep it straight,
Okay.
as you would do in a single engine.
So how much power do I give it initially?
Full power on the brakes. We'll just check everything's okay. Just hold it on the brakes. Okay, everything's looking fine there. There we go.
Yeah.
And then just progressive back pressure on the stick as you would normally for takeoff. Speed's increasing. Pitching our lift-off speed, so just gentle rotation. A little bit of right rudder. And away we go.
Runway's gone. Brakes.
There's the 900 feet. We'll have a look around over there to the right. Looks good over there. And we'll wander over towards the west, northwest, shall we? Okay, so we've got our gear up and our flaps up. And when you're ready, you can turn your landing light off.
Landing light.
I found the DA42 really easy to fly actually, perhaps even a little lighter on the controls compared to my Arrow, and the cockpit is more comfortable. The G1000 isn't as scary as it looks either, although I can imagine myself getting into a digital maze if I got the wrong combination of buttons. We climbed above 4,000 feet and I got used to the handling characteristics in the cruise at 60% power, 120 knots, and then we took a close look at how the aeroplane handles with an engine shut down.
So let's take a look at the weather. Looks pretty good to me. Winds aren't too strong. We've got Perth over here.
Yep.
If we couldn't land at Perth for whatever reason, we've got Dundee over in the distance there.
Roger.
And on the other side of the tail, we've got Lucas as well. So we've got
A few options.
a few options available to us if we encounter any problems. Systems of the airplane all look okay.
Yep.
We'll just check the system page as well. Fine. So I'll take control
You
of the
have control.
airplane, and you're going to take the checklist out and just call out the items.
Power increase up to max.
Okay, so I'm just going to increase the power to make sure we've got sufficient performance when we shut the engine down. Okay.
Airspeed minimum blue line. That's indicated here. Is it also indicated on
Yes,
there?
yeah, we're well above that.
Landing gear is up. Confirm. Flaps are up. Confirm. Power lever affected engine reduced to verify.
Okay, so normally what happens when we close the power lever and the engine's already shut down or failed, we should get no yaw. That's our confirmation that we've got the correct engine.
Right.
Okay. In this case, the engine is operable, so we will get yaw.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you'd like to reduce the power all the way back on the left engine, you can follow me through on the rudder pedals.
Roger.
As we do that.
Right. So you're applying yaw already. Rudder.
I'm using rudder to keep straight, ailerons to keep the wings level. That's a gear warning you can hear. And just adjusting the elevator in order to maintain an altitude. So I've got a reasonable amount of right rudder in there at the moment. It is the left engine we're going to be shutting down.
So power lever, reduced failure. Engine master, affected engine off. So we're confirming left is failed or reduced. Touch the left master switch.
You can go ahead and pull that out, down.
And down. Okay. So the engine has stopped. Above safe altitude. Power life engine max to max continuous on the power.
Okay, so I've set sufficient just to give us reasonable performance. That might be somewhere between 80 and 100% load.
Alternator dead engine off. Alternator left engine.
Yep.
Off. Fuel selector dead engine. Confirm left engine. To off, and I take
You
it.
need to move the
crossfade.
little red gate. And you can see that's quite a tricky exercise.
Yeah, if you're on your own.
Flying the airplane as well.
Okay, that's it for the end of that checklist.
Okay, so if you just move the power lever of the left engine slightly forward
Just
to
to
get rid of the gear
warning.
warning. Open up the checklist on the restart page.
Roger.
And just pop it away for the moment.
Pop that away, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll hand control to you.
Let me just get in position.
Yep.
I have control.
You have control, and
Right.
you can feel that you need quite a bit of right rudder there.
Yeah. Gosh, a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. That's almost full deflection actually, isn't it?
Now, obviously, to make life easier,
We
you
can
can
trim.
use the rudder trim. So whenever you like, you can go ahead and do.
Okay, that's helpful.
So we've shut down at 8 minutes past the hour on the engine, and so periodically, if we were going to have this engine shut down for a period of time, we would need to cross feed just to make sure the tanks are in balance.
Right.
But we can just leave it
Okay.
as it is.
And that's auto feathered.
Well, it's not auto feathered, but it's quite simple to feather it. All you did was moving the switch.
Ah, okay.
Okay? But you can see the blade is presented almost at 90 degrees.
And that's done by the a transfer of oil pressure, isn't it? That happens when you switch the master
The
off.
oil pressure is relieved.
Yeah.
Okay. Fail safe.
Do we lose any other systems when we lose the left engine other than the generator?
That's it.
That's it,
In this
yeah.
particular
Yeah.
airplane. Okay, so whenever you're ready, you can do some gentle turns.
Okay.
Edinburgh over there in the bridges.
Second.
Edinburgh,
Yeah.
Queensway Crossing, etc.
Can I go around to the left?
Yep, go around to the left. And as I said before, if you can just reduce the angle of bank when you're in the turn, just to
Yeah.
maintain reasonable performance.
And we're maintaining here. We're on max continuous on the right here, just
We're,
below it.
we're very close to it, yeah.
And it can stay like that, can it, quite happily?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We just monitor the engine instruments and the system page as well.
And we're flying level, and we've got 104 knots. So that's sort of a typical cruise speed of a Piper Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just go around to the right then. Shutting down the engine, obviously that's now being shock cooled to some extent, isn't it? Because it's obviously not running now and it's getting all the air coming through it. Is that something you have to think about?
In some twin-engine aeroplanes, yes, you would have to be much more conscious of it than you would do in this airplane. Yes, we do have to manage the heat over the airplane's engines, but in this one, because what we're running are modified automotive engines, which are liquid cooled as opposed to air cooled,
yeah.
remember we've got coolant
Yeah,
there
sure.
as well. That's not quite so much of a problem. But when we do restart the engine, we'll give it some time to warm up before we start to apply normal power settings.
I forgot it was liquid cooled.
Okay, so let's just sync up the heading bar, maybe pick a reference point in the distance.
Yeah.
Just lower the nose now and see what you have to do with the rudder.
So we're increasing speed and I'm having to take off some rudder.
Yeah, so we would probably retrim that if necessary.
So increase speed.
The rudder is more effective.
The rudder's more effective, yeah. Roger.
And let's do the opposite. Let's raise the nose to reduce the speed.
Okay, more right rudder's going in now.
27 right hand, QNH 1000. 27 right hand and 1000. And it's
that's taking quite a lot of right rudder now. That's all the way in. That's almost at the stop now.
So let's go as far as the blue line speed, just to give you a really good indication of what that's like.
That's marked on here as this blue line here.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's taking all of my, that's completely extended now to the right. And so is the trim.
Okay, so let's just come back to level flight.
Roger.
Okay, now if you'd like to apply full power on the right engine, so all the way forward.
Yep.
230 knots.
Now we'll try and keep the speed about the same and now reduce the power to about 40 to 50%.
Oh, we need lots of left rudder.
Yeah, so basically you're taking the right rudder back off again.
Yeah.
Because you're reducing the asymmetry.
Yeah.
Go for runway 21 and proceed that way for
Okay.
check. Go for India, Roger.
And we can't maintain altitude at that speed, at that power, can we?
Okay, now apply full power again. Let's climb at VYSE or blue line speed.
Climb at VYSE.
Hold that attitude about there. Trim off the elevator as well if you like. Let's just see what steady rate of climb we achieve.
That's full in now. So we're at blue line now.
Okay,
Got
so
300.
look at the climb rate.
Yeah,
okay?
250.
A
Yeah.
couple of 100 feet per minute. That's about it. That could easily be 0 or negative in adverse conditions as
Yeah,
well.
and it's very difficult. We've got full trim and full right rudder, and we still can't.
And we can improve things a little bit. If you bank slightly towards the live engine, i.e. to the right,
Yeah.
release a little bit of rudder pressure. We're trying to achieve a 0 side slip. It's a little bit like tapping your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. So we might be just squeezing out a little bit more in terms of climb
Okay.
performance because we've got 0 side slip, or close to it at least anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's level off there. As we do so, we'll just do it very slowly because it will take us a while to accelerate.
Roger.
Okay, comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're probably about ready to restart the engine.
Roger.
Okay, so I'll
You
take control of the
You have control.
main controls again.
Go airspeed below 90 knots.
Okay, so I'll raise the nose to achieve that.
For windmilling restart, no. Power affected engine is idle, so I'll take it to idle.
Correct.
Left engine, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Fuel selector affected engine on. Fuel selector left engine on. Alternate air as required. Alternator affected engine on. Engine master affected engine on. Left engine. For starter assisted, starter engaged, left engine.
We'll just wait for the glow light to go out. There's no adverse warnings or cautions that we've been concerned about, and you can go ahead and now start.
So our problem, if engine started, power moderate, engine instruments check green range, so left is a bit colder,
So we just let it run up, do we, for a bit?
Yeah, you have control.
I have control.
Okay, and you can just move the power lever forward so the gear audible warning disappears.
Roger.
And we'll just make sure our circuit breakers are okay, which they are, and we'll just allow
Bit of warm up.
engine instruments to show the engine sufficiently warmed up. Always nice to see an engine restart.
Isn't it just? Would you always do those from the checklist in a test and so on?
If we were doing premeditated shutdown, then we'll use a checklist to assist us.
Yeah.
But of course, you can imagine in the engine failure after takeoff situation, or if you had an engine fire, that you need to do those from memory. You
Yeah.
haven't got time to refer to a checklist. So
course.
you need to operate very swiftly and accurately in those situations.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time practicing those drills.
Yeah. And engine failure after takeoff is presumably all about speed management straight away. Would you apply full power on your right hand on your good engine?
What we would do for the engine failure after takeoff, we would move both power levers forward
Yeah.
at the same time and throughout controlling the aeroplane directionally, as you saw with the rudder pedals. Check our gear and flappers up, and then we'd think about trying to work out which engine had failed.
Yeah.
But first of all, it's control and performance.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're ready, you can reduce the power on the right engine to about 60% and then bring the left engine up to the same setting as well.
T's and P's are all green.
And we can check the system page, make sure everything's okay there, which it is. And you might like to readjust on
Yes,
those.
of course.
There you are, we're back to two-engine flight.
Brilliant. That's great.
Alright then, shall we head back to the airfield? We'll do an overhead join for 2-1 I think's in use, and I'll talk you through and you can land the aeroplane.
Roger.
So you can select 35, 40% for the descent.
Go around is full power on this.
Correct, yep.
And get rid of drag flap.
Correct.
Yep.
Golf, uniform, Darwin number 2-1.
Golf Zulu uniform, roger. 1 on, backtracking for takeoff.
Visual, golf.
So gear.
Yep.
We're in gear speed, gear coming down.
Roll the wings over there.
And we've got 3 greens. Speed's coming back nicely.
Select approach flap.
In the wide arc.
Golfing off, take it off, runway 21.
Quickly run through the pre-landing checks, so that's all okay. And you can turn on the landing light as well. Okay, around you go. And when you're ready, you can set about 35, 40% power.
It's alright. Oh, right, yeah.
Golf, seal uniform, final 2-1.
Just remind me of the speeds here. It was
22015 knots.
75 to 80 over the threshold, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah. So whenever you're ready, you can extend landing flap.
And we've got no mixture control, no prop control. We've got 3 greens there.
And the runway is empty.
Roger.
Looking nice.
Yeah, happy with that.
A bit of wind from right to left.
Yeah.
Perth radio, golf.
So close those power levers. Close the power levers.
Sorry, I left that bit
Hit
late.
the flare, a little bit of right rudder.
Oscar first radio, good evening, pass your message.
Very nice.
Sorry, I thought they were quite close to idle, but there was more to go. That was magic.
Spot wind is 240 at 12 knots. It's generally favouring runway 21.
Okay, thanks.
What a nice aeroplane. That was amazing, Philip. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
A nice evening for it as well.
Absolutely.
My thanks to ACS Flight Training for letting me have an introduction to their DA42. I've always wanted to learn more about multi-engine piston flying, and this brief session with Philip has taught me an awful lot. I kept this video long because I really felt there was a lot of valuable information worth sharing. Don't forget to help me out by signing up to my supporters club. In return, you get bonus content. That's all for today. Fly safely, my friends.